Let's go right into the show. Holy,
Great show.
see, isn't it? Okay, so one thing I want to identify for the listeners is that we start off, it's Sunday, it's Father's Day. Beth is like on a church. She's had choir. She ran to the show. There's so much planning that goes on. We don't get paid for this stuff, but it is so rewarding
Yeah.
after we show up. And I'm showing up, Beth. Can we talk about that for a second? Because you showed up. What does that do? Because look at the smile on your face. The people can't see it, but I'm here to tell them that you're smiling. And
It's lovely.
you were
It's
a
lovely.
spicy, salty, hot disaster right before you got
Right.
on this call.
Look, I'm going to be honest with all of our community, which is that I was fussy, friends. I was very fussy, but every time I have one of these conversations, I'm so happy that I did because it changes the trajectory of my day. A lot of times my week, I'm still thinking about these concepts, as the days go by. And I mean, I really feel like somehow we just are able to speak to most of the geniuses in the world. I
not
really
to
do.
not
Do,
to
man. I'm telling you.
toot our own horn. I will give you
Well,
total props, Beth. You showed up and you were like, you did set the tone by saying, I'm going to turn it around for everybody out there. That's so important what Beth did. She set the example and she was like, it's been a day. I'm here, but I'm also going to hold a space that this could get better. And it did. Yeah.
I did. I say that to kids at school all the time. They'll come in with some little behavior issue, and I'll say, "Look,
To say the
well,
least.
we're going to turn it around. Let's just turn it around." And they do. So
Yeah.
if, my little kindergarten friends can do it, so can I. But
Speaking of turning it around, what do you think about the
so
guests?
great. Such a great opportunity to talk.
I mean, what do you think about this new experience that we're doing? We're bringing in new guests, and aside from Jason being, exquisite and a great speaker, he speaks all over the world. He's also transforming education. I learned so much. But how do you feel about this like new experiment we're doing? We're bringing in these new guests. They show up, they talk together for 20 minutes. We kind of sit back, like,
Yeah, we just listen. And, like I said before, we speak to so many geniuses. And that's not because we are some special something, but
oh no,
just
Shug, we are not.
creating a place where they can talk. That's what I have loved about this season is we create this place where people who might not normally have a chance to connect have a chance to connect about, again, not the weather, not anything surface level. Like they get right into it with deep questions and real solutions. And um, it's so interesting and rewarding to see them play off of each other, I guess, you know?
Yeah. I had a comment from a listener actually, and she was saying basically what she feels from us. Speaking back to Jason, what he was saying again about like experiential learning is about um, not exactly the material or the people who are coming on board, but the experience and the feelings that you have about it. And she said the thing is you put everyone at ease, not just your voices, but actually somehow your energy and your approach makes me feel safe, which helps me really feel like I want to listen to this show. And I guess that comes out with the guests as well. Like they also feel really safe. And that I think it's great. That speaks volumes to what we're trying to hold for the show and what we actually had. We wanted to have a show you could feel rather than just listen to, right?
Right. Right. Well, there are plenty of shows you can just listen to. I mean, if your game is getting information, there are endless ways to do that. But maybe if you yeah, you want to be able to have that feeling of safety or curiosity or excitement or discovery, maybe we can be that for you. That what a great compliment.
Thank you, listener. And thank you to all listeners out there. So what you can expect from this show for sure is we are trying to talk about, pioneering a totally new educational paradigm, which puts human health and safety at the center. It also helps us understand how we learn, learning to learn. Beth, what were some like just key takeaways that you got out of today's conversation that the listeners can look forward to?
Okay, so I'd like to be completely positive, but I did have a little bit of a discouraged emotion in there because I see how
Authentic.
this could. Well, I'm just
Authentic. I
being
love it.
authentic. I'm just being authentic. Um, I loved the tone of hope and possibility and clarity, actually, that Jason had about where education could go, and I could maybe see that becoming more possible. And I think it is more common in university settings, and maybe even in high schools. Some high schools have more experiential learning now, But I spend my time in an elementary school, and I have a hard time seeing how this would change or this could be implemented for younger kids. I I can see where there would be resistance, a lot of resistance, and a lot of um, confusion about how you would make this work with young people, the youngest people.
Well, we mentioned Montessori. There's a movie out,
Yeah.
Maria Montessori. It's out right now. I can't wait to see it. And I want to learn more about Montessori because I remember my mother wanted to put me in Montessori, but never did. But I will say the one thing that was crazy about growing up, and this is, I'm going to tie back into what you just said, just as like a side note here. You know, my mother pulled me out of school a lot. She was in Venture. We lived in Utah. I remember she'd just show up in the middle of the day and appallingly to me at the time, she just dragged me out of school and then we go to the mountains and go camping for like 3 days, like Monday, like Wednesday through Friday or Monday through Wednesday, like days I was supposed to be in school. But those times I really learned so much more. I don't know.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
the Bali school, which is now finished its like 12 year, they've actually graduated a whole class of people who started as youngsters and now have gone through the whole program. They have revolutionized, I think you take Montessori on steroids and like did a whole different kind of course. And I just can't wait to see what these students are going to do because they did learn intergenerationally. They learned in a completely different way that was like classroom was nature. They were supported in their like mental and emotional health. They were given tools about how to relate to themselves. Also the financial component. Can we just discuss why? Like, I mean, I wanted to bring that up for Jason too, but like when he's talking about finance and accounting in university, why the heck does nobody teach us how to do our finances in school?
I
Hello.
don't know. I don't know why we're not taught a lot of really practical things. I think maybe in the past those things were taught by families, maybe by some families. I don't think by everybody. Things like, can you cook for yourself? And do you know how to do your finances? And, like these basic how to be a human kind of things.
But then this is the dichotomy that I'm like, I'm a family. I'm going to send my kid away to school more hours than I see them in my family. So I'm relying on these other people to teach my kid something. So usually they come home, I have a couple hours with them, they go to bed, they go right back to school. So it just doesn't make sense to me. What, am I supposed to teach my kid or is the school supposed to, I mean, where does there's no
Oh,
clear
no,
defined
not true.
societal
Right.
responsibility of like what falls on the family and what falls on the education system that we've
Feels like,
created.
yeah, it feels like in the end, everybody puts everyone, I'm just speaking in total generalities right now, but it feels like there are some people who feel that it is the parents' responsibility in the end of the day to make sure the kids are getting what they need. But I know that there are parents who become upset with the school when their child doesn't get what they think their child needs. So you're right. It's not like there's really a team approach to education. Again, the best educators create that. They create um, a team approach with the parents of their students. But that's not universal. That's not even the majority.
And
So,
before we close this teaser, since you are in education, how much do you see that we can learn as parents or family members or even community members who are just trying to take care of the kids in our community? Like how much can we be informed by the education system? Like how can they be partners in helping us like, hey, you should teach your kid this rather than putting all the responsibility on the teachers and the faculty to take care of that, you know?
yeah, well, first of all, I think that our educational system as it is currently set up is meant to teach what I'm going to call academic topics. So, that's where maybe you learn to read, maybe you learn your math skills there, whatever. But as you know, all of us, there's so much more to being a human being than just academics, as you just brought up with finances, or, what kind of character are you going to have? How do you teach somebody integrity or hard work? Or how do you teach kids about like personal hygiene and, you know, hobbies? What hobbies might you be interested in? So I guess because the way the system is right now, I would push families to focus on those things that are not part of a regular academic curriculum because that's the way it is. It's set up to be an academic
Yeah.
curriculum,
But then
not
who
really
teaches
set
the
up to be
families? That's the
fulfilling.
thing. I wish there was some, I mean, I
Right.
guess you have the parent teacher, the PTA, Parent Teacher
That's
Association,
absolutely. it's challenging. There are some community resources. There are some maybe faith-based like church resources, but there's not just a place where like a parent school. Where do I go to parent and family school?
Yeah.
It exists. It's
Well,
not just a place.
if you have questions like we have questions on the show, you're going to learn all about it from Jason and also Pietro, who came on to help us just explore how we can collaborate and co-design solutions and responses to these questions that we're having right now, because this is a lot about, like Jason has brought together with Alana, his co-founder, ways to work as a mentor and a student to cross learn, and also to, like, evolve the education system in the way that they're doing with experiential education. So I hope you guys want to join us for this episode. And Beth, once again, thank you so much for being here in your frustration and your hard day
Oh,
and all the functions that you show up. And just to the listeners, you are so lucky to have this human being here. So
oh.
just get into it.
How lucky are we to have you at the captain of the ship here? I mean, you're at the helm.
Toot toot. Give me, where's my spinach? I can be Popeye.
For better or worse, you're driving the ship. So I
Yeah,
am happy to
okay.
come along for the ride. I find this is such a renewing and enriching experience. So thank you.
Same. Thank you so much. And join us for this episode of Learning to Learn with Jason Blackstock.